There you go, the best sound from Zoom. Welcome to the Senate meeting. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We are trying on another day, on another meeting, another way to try and have a face-to-face meeting and a Zoom meeting so that all the people on Zoom feel included, which is important. So can I want to call us to order? I get for what? Call to order? No, we're good. Okay.
No.
All right. I get an approval of the agenda. Sorry about that.
Bye, Warren. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yes, move to approve the agenda.
Kim moves to approve the agenda. Second. Seconded by Kathy. Right. Here are values in 2.03, right? And we're going to be coming back to those. Does anyone have any public comment? Public comment, no public comment?
You want to ask now if they have anything for a later agenda item?
Yeah, good,
Yeah.
good question, Kim.
So if anybody knows they want to comment, if they want to wait until we're discussing the agenda item, could they put their name in for that? People who are here. Okay, I don't see anything. So they would, and we're not using chat, right? We have chat.
No, I don't know if we've disabled chat.
So people, if they want to, they just turn on their mic, raise their hand. Anybody here who wants to? I don't see anybody who wants to make a public comment.
Okay. And I don't, can you check? We've disabled chat over there, please.
No.
Okay. All right, so we have minutes by our new Senate Assistant, Margarita Silva. Margarita, do you want to wave to the people on the screen? Yeah, there you go. Okay, I take it. Yeah. All right. Move to approve the minutes or any corrections to the minutes?
I have a very small correction. On page 6, there's I'm attributed something that Melanie said, and usually who cares, but it's so clearly not my wording. So it's about the Instagram account, which I love. And later Brittany says, as Melanie said. So it's on page 6, and it just says that Melanie says Instagram, bam, automotive English. I mean, Kim, but it should be Melanie.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for the minutes. There's a lot.
Okay, thank you. Any other changes to the minutes? Any other corrections? All right, move to approve the minutes with the noted correction, correction.
I'll move to approve the minutes
Thank you,
as
Chris.
noted.
Thank you. Second,
I'll second it, Trisha. Tone.
thank you, Trisha. All right, now I'm gonna let our past president speak the new senators.
Oh, yay, that's a great honor. So I have no idea what's going on with the staff. I will welcome our 2 new senators. So Jennifer Moffitt, thank you. She is filling in for Paul, the 9th Division Legislature, to cover Stephanie Mendez, who will be actually elected to for the full 3 years. So welcome and congratulations to have a second senator here. And then Dee is here also for Health and Human Services. Thank you so much for coming back, and welcome to our first fall meeting.
Excellent. And thank you to Russell and to Jess for making that happen. Really appreciate it. Okay, all right, and we are on to reports. Those are pretty short right now since we haven't had many meetings yet. The school year is getting started. Any liaison have anything they'd like to add to their minutes? Okay, all right, I'm going to give a really fast president's report here, just information. I'm gonna look at our VPAA and say, if I've got this right, the latest fall head count is pretty exciting. We are down by about 13 students from last year, which is pretty amazing. So we are doing quite well. Yeah. I think the key thing for all of us in the classroom, and I know we're aware of this, but, is to retain the students from fall to spring. So what can we do in week 3 to keep the students progressing through their classes, and enrolling next semester if that's what their goal is, so. Sort of focus now and keep going. Steering has asked planning and resources in our, now chaired by Bill Dinklage, to research interdisciplinary programs across the state and to make some recommendations for how to run exemplary interdisciplinary programs. There seem to be a number of different models, and we have a few programs, so that's what they're going to do. Looks like, I think they're finalizing their time schedule, but they will bring a report back to the Senate. Right, PEC is working on a shorter version of the year 2 template. Which, was promised. And then the exciting news, I hope you guys find this exciting news. I find this exciting news. Waiting for the show of hands. No show of hands yet. I'm very pleased to announce that the unsuccessful searches from 21-22 will be automatically reposted by HR.
Yay.
So these are the positions, right? These are the positions that are still vacant. So that's a position in English, a position in DSPS as a counselor specialist, a position in DSPS as a coordinator, and a position in biological sciences, biomedical sciences. So we don't need to do anything about those. They were already budgeted for this year and they will be moved forward. Any questions here?
Thank you, Melanie. Are you showing something there? And if so, could you share your screen with us?
No, all I'm doing is looking at the agenda.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, looking at the agenda, and then I just have a little piece of paper where I go down where the senators are from.
But you could share your screen if you want to later, right? From there.
Well, yeah, I could share my screen. Do you?
We could, did he set that up so your laptop would share?
Well, all I have is the agenda. That's the only thing
Right.
that I have up. So then I'm trying to look
Make
at
sure.
people in the
Yeah.
agenda. Okay, so that brings us to the grant opportunities, which is linked in your agenda. And then I'm gonna see if I can share this next one. Let's see. See if that works. Does that work? Yes.
Ooh, yeah.
So this over, this down. Oh. I think this is.
So you know, there's coffee here, it might be a little strange because the coffee pot is weird stuff.
I'm gonna try it first.
Maybe
I'm
even
working.
We are guinea pigs now, being.
All right,
So Jen, you see it?
Fine, it's just maybe not.
Good, yeah. Thumbs up. Can you see your screen?
so what I'm gonna show you right now, Dwyer, as you know, is our credit for prior learning, point person now. She asked me to show this to everyone. This is coming up on the 28th of October. Pretty exciting, 3rd annual, credit for prior learning summit. And, you can take a look at this. It's obviously linked there, but I just want to give a real shout out for that. Pretty exciting. Okay. Right. Let's see. All right, so, back to, I managed to now just completely lose my agenda. Do you have the agenda up?
Academic Senate community values is next.
Right, okay, so, thank you so much. So we're gonna move on to the Academic Senate Community Values. And this is something that Ruth Morales, Ruth, are you here? Ruth here? I guess not, but Ruth brought up last meeting or the meeting before last, that we don't want to lose the community values and we want to either reaffirm them or modify them or change them. And so, that is what we have to discuss now. We've got about 20 minutes to discuss that. That's not a fire alarm, is it?
I don't know. And it's one.
Okay.
I
Senate,
think it was the louder.
Senate values. So what you can see there is, maybe I should share.
Yeah.
Would it be easier if I shared my?
Yeah, you
screen with
want to
everyone?
for the recording too, yeah, just because if anybody's watching later, they can.
Oh, what is this here? Okay.
Can I just jump in? When there's a lot of side conversations in the room, we online can't hear it. It makes it really hard if there's a conversation happening within the room for us to follow what's going on.
The only ones are the like laughing about the coffee and stuff, but anything that's actually related to the content, I will be sure that's one person at a time. You know what I mean? And that's,
Yeah,
Yeah.
as I said during the retreat, regardless of what it's about, it's still alienating for those of us online if we can tell that there is dialogue happening in the room and we're not part of it. So whether, you know, if it doesn't work in this high flex modality, then that's something or I don't know if you can even call it that, but that's something we'll need to address. But I just want to keep speaking up for if we're going to have our meetings in this, both online and face-to-face, it's really important that those of us who are online feel we can fully participate in what's going on.
Absolutely, Alan. Thank you for that. I do think ideally we will get to the place where most of us will be able to be here in person. I think that would be good for us as a group. So let's get back to this, the community values. So what we've got here are the existing community values. As you can see, they were ratified on September 23rd, 2020. So they're a little less than 2 years old. I think we should take some time for people to read those over. And then I just went and tried to find a few different community values that in some ways were almost as different from ours as possible, just as a point of contrast, as I said, not as a point of endorsement. So how would you like to go about this? We could go through and read each one or we could read the whole thing. What's your pleasure?
well, maybe we should just start by reading them out loud.
All right, okay, so let's just go around the table. Joy, can you read the first one, Kathy, the second, and so.
Let's let the Zoom people do one.
Well, that's a good idea.
We got that song.
Okay,
Sound better.
Ellen, we've got, we'll do Ellen for 1, Jen for 2, Chris for 3, Trisha for 4, Ben for 5. What's after that? Let's see, we need. 1 for 6. Cornelia for 7. Anna, can you finish us with 8, please? Okay, we ready?
So you want me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay, just with the number, not with the introductory part?
Right, we'll start with the numbers.
Okay, number 1, say it in the meeting. We want to create an atmosphere for open, honest exchange. If something is bothering you and you are open to sharing it, please share it with the group. Speak to your discomfort. Often our emotional reactions to authentic exchanges can offer valuable learning opportunities. As members of the Academic Senate, we need to be willing to be uncomfortable in the work at the table.
Okay, number 2, commit to learning from each other, listen to each other, and acknowledge that we all come from different backgrounds, skills, interests, abilities, and values. We realize that it is these very differences that will increase our awareness and understanding.
Excuse me, I've lost my agenda and it's so small on this other screen. Number 3, acknowledge each other's experiences. All voices are valued. We will not devalue anyone for their experiences, lack of experiences, or differences in interpretations of those experiences. We value everyone's voice, and everyone has a valuable voice and a contribution to make.
Number 4, trust that others are doing the best they can. You acknowledge and value that everyone, including ourselves, can learn and change through our interactions with one another. Remain open and welcome to growth in ourselves and in others.
Number 5, commit to courageous and difficult conversations. If we wish to challenge something that has been said, we will change the idea or the practice referred to, not the individual sharing this idea or practice. We also must be open to people challenging what we say as individuals at the table and decenter ourselves when discussing an issue. As senators, we are in a faculty leadership role and must be willing to detach ourselves from our role and accept that others may challenge our perspective. We will hold ourselves and each other accountable for engaging in difficult conversations and ensure that we don't seek to end the discussion that is difficult or uncomfortable for us.
Number 6, ask yourselves, why am I talking? Why aren't I talking? Wait, as individuals, we should be mindful of taking up much more space than others. On the same note, we should empower ourselves to speak up when others are dominating the conversation, amplify unheard or overlooked voices, while being mindful of unnecessary reiterations of previous mentioned points.
I don't know, what they following in order.
Cornelia, can you read number 7, please?
Okay, I thought I had 8, but 7 is a good number too.
Yeah.
Be mindful that each of us represents our division, but also represent the faculty body as a whole. In our conversations and decisions, we will strive to represent our divisions while also being committed to the faculty body as a whole.
And number 8, commit to working with an equity mindset and to upholding the mission of the college to foster an equitable, inclusive, respectful, participatory, and supportive community dedicated to the success of every student. As senators, we should center equity in all matters brought before us and question who may benefit from our decisions and actions and who may be harmed.
Thank you, guys. All right. You can see how different some of these are. And I thought that interesting, so this is just, these are just 4 key points. Another one, I thought this was interesting, where they have an idea of promoting community and enhancing advocacy, 2 different ways of going about community values with other community values in there. So given the point of contrast and given what we said, people feel ready to have a discussion about this?
I can start off there. Oh, go ahead, Trisha, go after you.
Oh, no, no, I was gonna say, do we, was it, you said that Ruth brought it up, that we wanted to have this discussion, and do we know, like, what the
Oh,
goal
Tricia,
was?
yeah, your internet is glitching.
Oh, it could have been me too.
I don't think
Do
so.
we, so I was just wondering that this was brought up for discussion, and I was just curious about, what the reason was. I mean, not questioning the reasoning, but what was the reason that was brought up, why we need to discuss it?
I think part of it, and Ruth, you're here, so feel free if you want to say why you brought it. She asked for it to be agenda, because I think it was this question that we need to affirm the values or whatever values we decide we want. Is what
Exactly. The body needs to do that, needs to internalize it, needs to actually think about this. This is not for me to decide, it's for this body to address.
Right, exactly. So that's what your goal was. Okay, so
Ellen has her hand.
Ellen, thank you.
I'll go after.
Yeah, I just, you might have said this and I missed it, but I was wondering where the the other community values that you quoted came from? I didn't see a citation.
No, I didn't cite, I think this one was from, I can't remember where this one came from. I can go back and look. I think this one might be from Stanford's design program. They have a particularly sort of notable design program, but I wasn't looking for anything. I was just looking for a broad variety of values. Okay. Ellen, you still have your hand up? Do you still have a question?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. Cornelia?
Thank you. I'm just like trying to remember when we first started to talk about these community values. I believe they came from another place too, where they had already community values in place, and we started to tweak them around. Does anyone here remember? I do not remember, even though I was part of this discussion. I don't remember where these came from, because I think that might also be a good place to look where we actually started out as a Senate back then.
Does anyone remember the history of where these came from?
I can share with you that they came from a few places, but we heavily modified them. We worked for a long time to craft the wording, to get our intentions. So it took several meetings, and I think we did a lot of it too over summer retreats. So it was a lengthy process, and that's the result.
Kim?
Yes, I was just gonna say that I appreciate bringing them forward to the new members like myself. So when Ruth talked about internalizing them, so it's a way to help bring new people into a culture that you've been working on and thinking about how to actually live it. And it's interesting because it's about our work as senators. It's also how we talk to each other. And since we're within our 20 minutes and I don't see like tons of hands and stuff, I just want to share, Ellen, when you raised that about the noise, and then I said, don't worry, it's nothing related. This is why I drove in today. You know, I drove in through traffic, gave up some work time, not as long a drive for many of you. I totally get zooming in, but I came in to laugh when Kathy talked about the coffee. And if it is something that's at all relevant to the meeting, of course, we would make sure it came through. So, I mean, it's like we're trying to meet the needs of the people here too. And they do kind of conflict in this mode. And it just gives me and again, I'm new, my first like real Senate meeting now, 5 years, so hello. But you know, coming here was to be with the community too, and that kind of stuff is why we're in the room together. So maybe if we don't do the room mic, and our original plan was to like all be like, I think Ben, some people's divisionings, everybody's on the computer, and then our mics are off. So it's not as annoying. You're not going to hear me laughing about the coffee the same way from a room mic. So I do think, like we do with our students, we've got to figure out how to meet the needs of the different ways people are now attending this meeting. And I feel right now that the Zoom is more privileged in that regard, because there isn't this recognition that we're just kind of here, kind of sometimes having a spot. That's why we're here. And that's what the in-person gives that Zoom doesn't. And so again, I guess I totally respect that feeling. But I guess I feel like if you could trust that it's nothing like related to the topic, and it is that chance to be social together. And so I don't know how that sounds to you, but I'm trying to do number one. I wouldn't really it's like sort of more about me, and I know we're here for Senate. We had 20 minutes for it. I'm here for a year. I don't want to do this every meeting, to have that feeling of like I gotta like watch it, right? So I don't know what the answer is, but since we have till at least 3:30, we got like 5 more minutes, we have to answer it. But I love these values. I think they're harder to do on Zoom, people. I just do. And I know we're all going to try. And so I don't know, I don't want to have a big old discussion about that feeling, but I'm getting some nods here, so.
I brought a webcam to try it because I figured if you had IT, like that's how hard, like I was thinking, like. I know Ellen brought it up this is the second time and it's really hard in this modality. I'm like, I guess when you think about HighFlex, this is what the students are going through. When you're on a computer and like how difficult it is even for like Melanie right now. She has her laptop, she has the computer, she's running the meeting, and trying to keep everyone together, so. Just, yeah, that I would voice Tim's opinion, like, it's just difficult, there's only so much you can do.
Sabrina?
I agree with Brad. I think because we're all here in person, we can't turn off our camera if someone comes into the room and asks us a question or if there's something behind the scenes that we talk about. Or if you're online, that's so much easier to do. You can just mute yourself or you can not show your camera so that those side conversations aren't disruptive to the meeting. I understand. It might be disruptive because of the little things, but it's not intentional. And like Kim said, it's not pertinent to the meeting. So I would hope that there would be trust both sides for those of us here and those online to know that it's something really, really a value and important that it would be discussed as a group.
Anna?
This feels like a conversation about whether we should do Zoom or not versus the values. So I guess I wanted to name that. I also think that at least for myself, I'm not trying to speak for Ellen, but when there's side conversation and there's also actual conversation happening, it does disrupt the messaging piece. So I don't think it's the intention of that comment is to say like y'all can't talk to each other when you're in the room. I think it's just being aware of the fact that some of us cannot be present or are preferring not to be present for a variety of reasons. And we also deserve to be engaging in this meeting. That's the only request there.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. We need you in the meeting. We want you in the meeting. And so we're probably just gonna keep experimenting. Maybe we'll use Brittany's webcam next time with various ways to try and make this meet or make these meetings work. And I do want to say that I think it does sound like Zoom, I understand that, but it also seems to me that it's also the idea of creating community, creating an atmosphere of honest exchange, as we say in one. And in three, you know, like hearing you and hearing Ellen and hearing the Zoom folks experiences is also three, right? Acknowledging each other's experiences. As we work, we have to work together, right? That's the whole point of the Senate. Schisms don't get us anywhere. And I think, you know, that's why we have these community values in the first place. So sort of bring it around. Any other thoughts about the community values? Would you guys like to affirm the community values? Where are you as a group? What suits you? All right, Trisha and then Anna. I think I had that right. Is that right?
I think, oh, yeah, Anna was first, but
Okay.
the two things like that, I looking through the other community values that you posted was that I thought maybe ours didn't quite address was about removing the barriers. But I think, I don't know, maybe it's in there, but I also think it's, you know, checking to make sure you're understanding what the other person's saying. I feel like sometimes, and this came up during, I think, a CPC meeting, because they're also developing their community values there, that there's a lot of misunderstandings, that somebody says something and then it seems like if another person heard it a way that was maybe different when the speaker was, maybe so like checking for understanding in a certain way. I don't know if that's really in there. So that seems to be something that might inhibit people from sharing their ideas because of past experience or fear of their remarks being misinterpreted, at least from their point of view. I mean, it's helpful to see how the other people have interpreted it. What do you guys think?
I think that's an interesting point. Anna, I think you had your hand up.
No, it was an old hand.
Okay, dokes. checking for understanding is a really important thing, something we should be doing all the time, right? How do we bring that in? We have a few choices here. We're nearly out of time for this. So we could think about this. I could ask the Senate via Google form if you have any modifications you might like to make, any changes. We could get those, send that out tonight or tomorrow, get those back, and have those ready to go for the following meeting if you would like. How does that sound to people? Getting some nods, a few nods. Yeah, okay, all right. Okay, that's what we will do. Okay, so thank you, Ruth, for bringing that up for us. All right, I hope the fun part, I hope it was fun from the division meetings. We asked people to go to their divisions, find out what matters to the division. What did you hear, senators, as you led way back 3 weeks ago? Right, the deepest, darkest past of the semester. Kathy O'Connor.
So we had a unique division meeting this year. We combined our entire division. We had about 60 people attend. And Linda Dozier came and did the sexual harassment training for our entire division, which is actually training that's required now by state law for all employees to be trained. So we didn't really do what you asked us to do, but I already scheduled this training and I thought it was a great opportunity to have everybody in one place. It included our professional volunteers, our assistant coaches, our adjuncts, our staff. So of course, we made a barbecue for them ahead of time to entice them. But they all were there and it was a great opportunity. And I think that Linda Dozier did a great job. So I would highly recommend that you invite her to your division meetings to do a similar training. I think it's really, really important training, given the state law and federal law changes around sexual assault and sexual behavior.
Great. Thank you for that suggestion. Anyone else?
Joyce first.
Joy? Joy was first, and then we're gonna go from Joy to Jess.
Okay, we had a good division meeting, fine arts. So there were 4 main points that were brought up. And folks who serve on committees wanted the committees to be able to agendize items. And they wanted committees to have more direction from the academic senate on the jobs that we want them to do or the jobs that they should do. I'm maybe not so articulate
No,
on
that
how the
makes-
policies actually work. Secondly, the question was brought up that divisions were delegated 1 or 2 senators, 1 or 2 positions.
Yeah.
And then based on loss of full-time faculty, a lot of divisions lost a person, so they're down to a single person. And the question came up, should this quota for 1 or 2 be recalculated? And then, is the Senate overall, losing positions because we're losing enrollment? And so they want to keep a proportionate representation, even with changing enrollment. Do we do that through a constitutional change or a policy change? How do we make sure that we're still staying proportionate? And then 3, there was a situation with turning in or changing grades after final grades were turned in to admissions and records. So I committed to keep the person anonymous because they wanted to be. It was more of a theoretical question for them. Because admissions and records came back to them. And that person felt in an accusatory way was making them tell why they put in for a grade change. And so that faculty member said that they didn't think that they had to defend their grade change, and he was or that person was relating it to AP 4231. So putting that out there, that might be rolling down our path. And lastly, there was a lot of complaints about the re-enrollment process to City College, especially with people in music and theater. You know, they're always re-enrolling, and Michael Meadow is one of our deans, and he explained to us that the college always has to validate whether you're in or out of state, and that's part of what makes it so cumbersome. But there's gotta be an easier way to validate your address.
So question for you on that one, what is the issue for you guys? Is it a slowing down of the process of getting people into those classes?
I think the general issue is that it's so onerous that people say, well, forget it.
Okay.
I wanted to take this theater costume because I thought it would be interesting, but forget it. I can't even figure out how to enroll.
Okay.
And there have been other faculty that admit at the PhD level, they cannot figure out how to enroll.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I know there's work being done by Guided Pathways and Margaret Cockrell. She's developing like a step-by-step guide on the CCP apply enrollment application, which I think should be piloting this year. So she's doing a lot of work around that, because we all know that the CCP apply is just very tedious. And that's also something that, like in the student equity plan, is really like, you know, successful enrollment, because it is a big kind of like thing. It's a big like,
Right, we're fighting for almost every single person counts, and
Yeah. Yeah, and I know there's a lot of work with strategic enrollment management. It's talked about that. Many people have talked about that. Well, wow, you did a lot. Thank you for that. Jess, what did you guys have? And then we'll go to one.
So we talked, yeah, the meeting was pretty long. We talked about a lot of stuff, but I think the biggest concern and something that we all agreed on was the fact that we needed another senator, and we got that taken care of.
Yes.
So I again want to say thank you to Jen and Stephanie for stepping up and filling that important role. I know you're both super busy, so I know we definitely appreciate it. And so yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and thank you for being so diligent in finding such great senators. Really appreciate that. And I think, you know, this is something that's coming up a bit, like the follow-up to the retreat, but I think this is the question we talked about at the retreat, which is, how do we bring more people in? How do we have more people in general want to participate in governance at all different levels across the school, right? I think that's what we're after. All right, one, we have a hand from you.
Yeah, at our division meeting, you know, I heard basically 3 words to describe how we felt, and basically it's, I hate to say it, but it's a relationship to the Senate. We felt as a division ignored, forgotten, and abandoned by the Senate. You know, for the last 5-7 years, ESL has lost 50% of their full-time instructors. School of Modern Language is 40%, and they haven't been replaced. And I know there's a rubric and there's a way to decide, but at the end of the day, it's always the same divisions or departments that get, you know, those positions. It's always science, it's always math, and it's always English. And it seems like, you know, other smaller departments, their needs are not being met. And that's what I'm bringing back to you. That was a discussion in our division.
Thank you for that one. I hear the frustration and especially that sense of the big versus the small and what it's like to lose people. And from one of the largest departments on the campus, but I think we're down 10 positions. We're roughly half the size we used to be. Right.
I don't know, but I'll know soon.
She'll know soon, but it's a lot, so, I know what it's like to shrink from a big to, and I can only imagine what that shrinkage feels from the other direction. So thank you for bringing that to us. And the goal here, if you're wondering why are we doing this, because I want to hear, we decided we wanted to hear from everybody about what are the issues, and then from there, we'll start to be able to form a long-range plan on the other side of the hiring of what we want to work on this year. Trisha, what do you have?
Yeah, so this is partly from our meeting. We have more of an in-service, but also from some surveys we've done. Definitely an echo what was said earlier about registration enrollment. Non-credit it can be pretty straightforward if you don't make any mistakes or you don't go back to refill out the application, but it is really very difficult. And again, it's not a matter necessarily of technical expertise. The enrollment process is very burdensome for non-credit, and people will give up and not come. And then we're going to lose, we lose the students, number one, and they'll be frustrated, but also fun. And I understand the limitations, the considerations, the rules they have to follow. But this has been going on for over 10 years. We keep hearing we're going to get a new application. We can't fix the new one because we're getting a new one. So I don't know, if something doesn't change soon, I think that's something that we need to look in, because it is an equity issue. Students are not getting the classes they need or being able to follow through. It's a lot easier now the offices are open, because they can go in person and enroll, but it's still difficult. So that was one thing. Registration enrollment, always very top of our list. A little bit too about burnout and maybe some ways to deal with, and that might relate more to when we're talking about building community a little later. And also better opportunities for faculty to share their knowledge and their expertise and their kind of tricks of the trade. Everything from, how to do high flex. How do you get high flex to work without some of the issues we were just talking about earlier, or how to have, especially with an online environment, if we're going to continue to do that. And then also finally, wanting, and when we're getting this more professional development, non-credit, we have to, Corolla has gotten us to have like 5 hour, gotten funding for us to have some training, but also more equity training, not for across the board, non-credit and also the issues we talked about.
All right. Very important issues there. Ray, can I ask you a question about that? Does non-credit enroll in this? Do they have to go through the same hurdle that credit has to? Or is it different from the get-go?
Or
Different.
Different from the get-go. Yeah. Entirely. Okay, so it's
For enrollment, yeah.
for enrollment. So it's entirely different from the get-go.
Well, yeah, although some of our students go through the credit one first, and that used to really mess them up because it blocked them from doing the non-credit, but I think they've resolved some of those issues. So, to be fair, there have been some of the blocks have been removed. Weird stuff like if a student enrolled in a non-credit ESL class and then tried to enroll in an adult high school class, they used to be blocked, but now that's removed. But it's still not that intuitive. And it's great that we do presentations or videos, but I've seen presentations like, oh, see how easy it is? You just click here, click here, click here. That's great. But then I had a vision because I've seen it's like, if you enter something and then you go, oh, shoot, I forgot. And then you go back and then try to redo the form, it blocks you. So we need not just a demonstration from experts who are doing it the right way, but also maybe an educating, if it's going to change, where are the obstacles? Talk to the students, talk to the instructors who try to help the students. Where are people running into these blocks? Because if somebody goes in, and I watch Mike Medell go through and demonstrate how straightforward it is, and it is, and if you do everything right the first time, but if you have any little thing, like I said, try to go back a little later, it's a huge block, and it's not it stops students from coming to class or enrolling, like Joy said.
All right, boy, there's a really key thing, a really key element here, obviously, with enrollment and, anyone else, any other reaction from your visions? Sarah, did you have anything from social sciences?
Oh, one topic that came up, I mean, we talk about some of the same topics again and again, like concern over the budget, concern over class sizes, and for social sciences, we have large classes. We feel like we could get it larger. But a new topic that came up was because there is a higher demand for online courses in the social sciences. And the social sciences lends itself fairly well to an online modality. A number of instructors have commented that we need more help and support, especially for DSPS accommodations. Trying to make our pages accessible. I mean, intuitively, we know a lot of it through the Canvas training and whatnot, but we want to do more. We don't want students to have to put the onus on themselves. We want to do it right from the get-go.
So that Canvas button for accessibility is only going so far.
It's only going so far, and I know there are already existing resources. Just imagine though, trying to do this at the scale that the social sciences does it. So that came up as a concern.
And that's another equity accessibility issue. Same thing. Anyone else?
I know the technologies division and health and human services actually have like a joint division meeting. And I think in some of it more was just communication between academic senate and just the division in general. So we kind of brainstormed some ideas for us, and I think our biggest thing was getting a senator, which Giovanna is representing for health and human services, which is super exciting. I think the rest of it was just in our division. We decided that we kind of need more in-person stuff, so our division meetings will actually be at lunchtime. That way we can like talk together, but.
Well, that's clever. Yeah, that's clever. Yeah. It's, as you say, it sounds so completely obvious, doesn't it? But,
Why don't we do
but
that?
it's a stunning insight. You eat lunch together and have a meeting. Right. Okay, awesome. If there's something, if you suddenly remembered something that you wanted to say or that you think was important to your division. Oh, I think Ellen, you got your hand raised. We're just about to end. So we'll give you the last word on this one.
Okay, yeah, actually, I wanted to respond partly because of what Tara was saying about support, DSPS support for students in social sciences. One of the things that we talked about in our ESD meeting was setting ourselves up for more high flex ways of providing student services and academic support services. Yeah, I think that's something that when we think about high flex, we often think about classrooms. But I think there's ways that we can do more than what we're doing now for the support also for students.
Did you have any particular thoughts about that,
Ellen? Not any particular ones. I know for the library, we're hoping eventually to see if we can set up our classroom as a high flex so that we could do, right now we're doing research workshops pretty much in one modality or the other. But we would love to be able to do them in a high flex way where people can, in both modalities, can fully participate. Rather than like the presenter having to repeat what a question was that came from the room or something like that. Yeah, so we didn't get into, specific details, but just, I think that's something as we're thinking of how to support students in all modalities and all combinations of modalities, I think we need to be thinking in terms of providing all of our support. Whether it's tutoring, advising, whatever in those combinations of modalities as well.
Excellent points. Great irony, Ellen, because you're going to be on the other side of the high flex screen at one point. you know?
This is not a high flex environment.
This is not high flex.
Yeah, this is,
That's actually that's my point.
this is sort of like the technological version of the Rube Goldberg machine, isn't it? With the, you know, all of these things trying to be together. Okay, awesome. All right, anyone else? Ellen, you still have your hand up? Is that a?
Oh, that was from before. I don't know if Sabrina wants to add anything more about what we in ESD discussed.
No, I mean, the counseling office just talked about how we provide our services in person, online, Zoom, Google Meet, we're doing it all, trying to meet all of the needs.
I would be interested, maybe other people would be interested at some point knowing if the counselor, you might not have this info yet, but if the counselors find that one or two, or, you know, if you have a sense of which one's the most effective. Not just most convenient, but which ones where you know, sort of connect with the student.
I think it just depends. We haven't really analyzed any of that data just from my personal experience. I think that obviously in person tends to be a bit more effective than being on the phone or being in Zoom. It just depends on what the student is accessible to, like if they have access to a computer or the internet to do Zoom or Google Meet. So we're very flexible and we just do whatever best fits the student's needs.
Thank you. Okay, and that brings us to our discussion of masking. So this was brought to me in the late summer. And this is our first business meeting, which is why we're talking about it now. And it's been a discussion that's been going on in a lot of meeting places. The question of the tiers, the question of the COVID mitigation plan, and so on. And I made a suggestion. We'll see where it goes, but that we have communications come up with some super simple poster, very rudimentary, very graphic, sort of desirably graphic, stating tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, what those are, right? Because I think even some people who work here aren't very clear on the tiers. So something where students learn that it's, I was just thinking, so this is just a suggestion to get us started. Feel free to take the suggestion. But I was thinking of this idea of predictability. Here's when you wear a mask. Here's the 2-week lag time. Here's when you get to take it off. Here's why. And you just see that a lot. And so if it changes, even if you're like, wait, why? At least you remember something is gone in. And then the other part, which is really hard, because we have I think two conflicting goals. One is we want to keep our students in the classroom. I think we all know that. The other is we want faculty to feel safe. So what I was coming up with, and I know it's not a panacea, but a lot of us in our classrooms use community values and community agenda, you know, set of community values for the class, just as we talked about community values for the Senate, right? And so one of the things I was thinking we could do is set community values for the class that includes, and each class would have to come up with this, right? It's not really a form, but includes the idea of people feeling safe in the community. So perhaps if people aren't feeling safe, other people would be willing to wear masks in order to make them feel safe, or their loved ones feel safe, or whatever's necessary. So, but all to say, I think it really matters how faculty are feeling. So with that, any thoughts, any insights, Kathy?
Yeah, I've been involved in all the work groups so far on all the, in fact, the new work group established in June hasn't even met since June, which I think has been really problematic. I have emailed several times to Paloma and to Corolla about why we aren't meeting to discuss and rectify some of the discrepancies. And actually, they're not even following what we had written originally in tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So yet you can't, you can't pick and choose, I don't think. I think you have to be consistent. And I also feel strongly that faculty who want their students masked should be able to require masking. I have a faculty member who has struggled with cancer. She is back teaching. And I admire that because she could have had her classes online, but I asked her to come back and she came back. But she really feels strongly that she would like her students masked. We are still having positives. In athletics, we're still testing, we have weekly testing for athletes because of their close contact and their travel and everything. We're getting positive not only with them, but with our regular PE students who are testing by choice. So this has not gone away, and I don't know what the MOU is going to be that the FA is going to come up with, but I'm hoping they have fought in the past. And Jamie has been very articulate in expressing the need for faculty to be able to make that choice. So I would really like the Senate to sort of double down on that, be willing to support that concept of faculty having a choice at this point in time. Now, hopefully in the spring it'll be different, but right now it's not. Thank you, Kathy. Jess?
Yeah, I just wanted to agree with that. I guess I mean I had my hand up before that, but I was initially going to ask what tier 1, like what our options are as instructors and if we have that choice, but it sounds like we don't. And so yeah, I think that it would be nice if instructors had that choice. I think we should support that because not everybody's moved on. Not everybody's had it already. Yeah, there's still a lot of cases out there. So I think that the choice would be great because then we can provide that face-to-face instruction, feeling a little bit better, I guess, doing it, and that we're keeping our families safe.
Elizabeth, can you hear me in the Zoom? Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So one of my constituents had a question about, given the unmasking, what are the guidelines about group work? Because it's different if you're just having the students sit there in class and not talk to each other, but if they're 1 foot away from each other, talking to each other without a mask on, obviously they're more likely to, transmit something. So is it ethical to do group work at all? Like, what are the guidelines on that? What are other faculty planning on doing about that? Yeah.
Can I actually say one more thing?
Go for it.
So like, yeah, we're speaking from the faculty's point of view, but there are still students that wear masks. So I want to say that we also want to support the students who prefer wearing masks. For example, some of you know my truck got stolen and I've been taking the bus, and on that bus, yeah, most students do not wear a mask. They're wearing them in the classroom because they have to, but there are still quite a few students who choose to wear it, and we don't know the reason why, but I think it's important that we do support them as well.
Yeah, and I believe that some faculty are sending out anonymous Google forms to their classes to say, do you have a health condition, and would you prefer people stay masked in the classroom? You had your hand up, and then Trisha.
Yeah, and should we stop sharing screen between the few more papers? It's too hard.
Oh, I feel like
I mean, if you want to, then if more people want to turn on their cameras and stuff, and some people have their cameras on, it's like, oh, I do. Yeah, so this could be listed, it's supposed to be listed Friday, right? I mean, like that's 2 days. So, yeah, so I was thinking about having been through the first hero workshop, which I'm really grateful the school is supporting, and sort of trying to bring that, as you said, Melanie, sort of the community values and the safe space. So we talked about it in class, and I have a small enough class to do it. I mean, I think in bigger classes and stuff, it's certainly a lot more challenging. And it is such an important question about if you're with people. Of course, we all have the option to mask, but if I'm masked and someone's not, I would feel safer if someone else is masked, but I do feel pretty safe masked. So we talked about that, about sitting in different parts of the room. But I did do an anonymous survey that closes before class tomorrow. And they all agreed if somebody said they wanted it, that they would do it. So, be interesting to see what happens if somebody does say that, so. But I just thought it was worth, it's sort of part of this new terrain we're navigating. So, yeah.
Okay, Tricia.
So the questions that I had written down before was, is it situation dependent? How much flexibility do faculty have in setting guidelines specific for their class, maybe based on the density of the classroom? The room, the health issues of the faculty, and like you were saying, also the student preferences, needs, and their health conditions. So is there, could a faculty say, I want to require a mask, or I strongly suggest a mask? Or is that something that would be, I don't know, some sort of violation of some sort of protocol? I don't know. What are the parameters?
Right now, the problem is the word require. Because how do you back up requiring? The school won't allow
Enforcement,
us to throw people out of class. So, but I've had great luck with just sort of saying to them, people are anxious. Someone in the class has come to me and is anxious about this. And they said, well, of course, I'm not comfortable. I don't like them, but if that makes someone else in the class feel safe, then I'll do it. So it's not, I know it's not an answer for sure. But the problem is that word require, Tricia. And Cornelia has been talking about this for a while. Jess, you had your hand up again?
Yeah, I was just curious. I was running through the cleared 4 questions, and are we still doing the cleared 4 after that? And then, because one of them says, like, have you been within 6 feet of anyone with active or suspected COVID-19 infection? So, like, if a classmate gets it, are we all kind of screwed and we can't go to class? Or, like, how will we know if, like, I am within 6 feet unless we are very clear about that contact tracing? And I don't know, it just seems weird. Like, I don't see it working out well, but I don't know necessarily how to solve that problem. But I just wanted to ask that question about the cleared 4. Are we still doing that?
I'm gonna leap in and I guess we are, I believe, but I'm gonna let Cornelia have your hand up. Do you know the answer to any of those questions? Particular. We are. Paloma, wait, Paloma, what?
Yeah, if one of the vice presidents wants to speak, Paloma, and I believe is very involved. They're also revising the COVID mitigation plan, as well as Maria and Carola.
Yes.
But I'd be happy to share what I know from what I can bring back from negotiations just this morning. But maybe the vice presidents is
Clarify.
not sure.
I'm not sure I don't know if Carola or Maria are in person. I can't see, so
Maria is in person.
do you want me to answer the cleared 4 question or the contact tracing question?
Yes, please.
So yes, we are definitely still using cleared 4. We are still asking both students, employees, all employees to still complete the cleared 4 health survey every day. One of the primary uses for cleared 4 is that so that we can conduct efficient and quick contact tracing. So if you or a student in your class test positive for COVID-19, the very first thing that we would ask you or the student to do is to submit the Cleared for Health survey and report that you have tested positive for COVID-19. And then the contact tracers will reach out to you, or the student, and any potential positive contacts while the case was contagious and on campus very, very quickly. So yes, we are still using Cleared for. Yes, we are still asking that everybody submit the Cleared for Health survey daily. And that is the primary mechanism that we are using for contact tracing.
Thank you, Paloma. I still see a hand from Jeff and I see a hand from Cornelia, or no, I don't see a hand from Jeff. Cornelia?
Yeah, so thank you so much for allowing me to speak. So just following up on Paloma, for sure, the fact if we are now having students without masks in the classroom will change the whole contact tracing scenario. Because in the past, when we had a positive case in the classroom, definitely like sitting next to each other, less than 6 feet away from each other for an extended time frame, usually it was not considered a close contact because we were all wearing masks. So this will go now. So in case we have now a positive case in the classroom and the students are not wearing a mask, this will be a close contact, and I am not aware what the scenario then will be but I think we will see a major change in this, because again, we did not by definition have close contacts because everybody was wearing a mask. And until like 2 weeks ago, everybody was wearing N95s, right? Or so, like, I think it was like 2 weeks, or maybe it was longer, time flies. So I would like to give you a little bit of a breakdown of where the negotiations are. As you know, the FA went into negotiations to allow faculty to require masks in their classrooms for various reasons. If it was a very full classroom, if there was no windows, no air condition, the person would have, we have people who have vulnerable family members at home. We have people who are themselves immunocompromised. We wanted to make sure that there is an avenue for these faculty to teach face-to-face, because that is what we want as a college, but keep that have the ability to require masks in their classroom during their lecture time, or also for educational support faculty during the time they provide services to students. Unfortunately, this did not find an agreement from the administration. We did find agreement on the wording this as the faculty member can request wearing mask wearing in their classrooms. There will be no enforcement mechanism there, so that we can there's no way that you say that there's any consequence for the student if the student says, well, you request that, I hear that, but I don't want to do it. In absence of this enforcement mechanism, we did include into the MOU, and this is something the district did agree to, is options for faculty to either request a larger classroom, or in the case of an educational support faculty, they could leave their office and say, okay, if you don't want to wear a mask, then we are going to meet in a large classroom, right? Or we are meeting outdoors. The same for faculty. Faculty could, in these cases, also request a tent, and the administration will support those requests, right? So it will not be, okay, you want to teach in a tent, go find a tent, but the administration has assured us that they will support the faculty member in these efforts. If you as a faculty member feel that a plexiglass shield would help, this is something you can request as well, and the administration will support it. We have a few other measures. It's basically the same we had in, I can look them all up, but it's basically the same we had in the MOU, where we debated, should faculty be able to require N95s during the medium and high tiers, because the college did deviate insofar from our COVID mitigation plan. And they said any mask that the CDC is supporting, we will be allowed in our college too. So we pretty much followed those steps, and that is where we are. And that's where we are. It's not signed yet, but that is the broad outline where we are on a level of agreement. Again, the requirement is not going to happen. There's no support. I'm sorry to say that there's no support from the administration.
Okay, we're about to run out of time for this measure. I've given it a few more minutes. I want to clarify something, and we've got Kathy O'Connor, Jeff, Ellen. Is there anyone else who would like to speak about this? And Tara. Okay, so I believe that contact tracing has been happening on campus apparently regardless of mask status, just an FYI. So let's start with Ellen, then, or was it you first? Okay, with Kathy, Ellen, Jess, Tara.
So just
Oh,
all
sorry.
due respect to our administrators that are here, I know how hard this has been. But everybody should actually, if you haven't received one of the letters from a contact tracer about someone testing positive in your class, you really should read one of those letters, because it's almost impossible to determine what should be happening. It says that there was somebody positive and the rest of your students may have been exposed. That doesn't tell us anything. The other factor that we have not considered is the booster factor. Students that have been boosted do not have to stay home if they have no symptoms. Otherwise, you're supposed to quarantine. The whole thing is crazy. We haven't even told students to upload more recent booster shots. So we don't even know. We haven't had a booster clinic on campus, which we've been requesting for the last 3 months, that we have a booster clinic on campus to get our students boosted. So all these things that we could have done to help our students and help our faculty understand, we just haven't done that. And I don't understand. This is not new. I've been doing this for 2 years with my department. There's nothing new here. So why the directions to the faculty can't be clear, and to the students it's confusing. The letter they send to the students is not clear. So we have our own contact tracer in athletics who personally contacts the student, works within the framework of our department, which is great. But this is going to be a real problem now that we're going to be unmasked, because you're right, everybody's going to be exposed. So I don't know what we're going to do, but we have to do something.
All right, Jess and Tara, and then we move on.
I think it was Ellen first. I'm not sure if her hand is down.
Her hand is
Yeah,
down.
I had just taken my hand down because I thought I was about to speak.
That's what I thought. So go for it.
Thank you. First, Cornelia, thank you for including ESD faculty when you were sharing what the FA has been working on, because I think the differences in the ways we work with students are really important. Just for a snapshot of the library has had over 1,000 students a day come through our doors every day since the beginning of the semester. And we've had up to like over 160 at any given time here in the building, most of them not masked. We stopped asking them to mask after the first week because it was really negatively affecting our educational relationships with them to be the mask police, and the college has not provided mask monitors to the degree that they would be needed to actually have the majority of people in the library masked at any given time. So we've sort of made our peace with that. We're wearing our own masks, probably will continue even when no masks are required anywhere. But I bring that up just because I want us all to be aware of that kind of space where it's not like we know the students, like when we're in our own classrooms, we know all of those students, we have a relationship with them. If one of them gets sick, there's more the contract tracing, at least there's more awareness of those relationships. Whereas in the library, there's who knows if there's a case of someone was in the library at such and such a time, there could be literally hundreds of other students who were exposed to that student, and they might not even remember exactly when they were in the library or if they were exposed. So I think it's going to be really untenable to try to do that contract tracing. Honestly, even now, since we're effectively functioning without masks in the library. So I don't have a solution, just wanted, but I think that's an important part of the picture of how different it is in busy spaces. I would think the campus center is another similar situation where there's lots of students in and out of there every day.
Thanks, Ellen. Really, really important point. Tara. Oh, Jess, sorry.
I guess Cornelia, when was that anticipated to be signed, the agreement that you said you were having put together?
There are a few items, like 2 items, which the district this morning said the district team wanted to first take to cabinet. One of them is the community agreement that the FA brought forward. So Melanie was kind enough to kind of like help me and came up with a short community agreement in writing, a sample draft. And I said, this is something that we envision. So this has not been agreed upon if this will be something the district will support. And the other item that is has not been agreed upon, but we could like agree maybe on this on a side in a side communication with the district is that so the current COVID mitigation plan is currently revised by 3 vice presidents, Maria and Paloma and Carola. And then once they are done with their revision next week, it will go again to the Return to Campus Committee. I think Kathy O'Connor is the Senate rep on this committee. After that, the Return to Campus Task Force will be basically dismantled because their task is deemed to be done. And the FA has required that the Senate president, the FA president, and the FAN president, Faculty Association Non-Credit, are going to be in any further changes of this COVID mitigation plan. We are going to be involved in this. So this is not just changes made by the administration to that plan, but that faculty representatives are involved in any further changes to that plan. So these 2 items have not been 100% worked out because the district team said we need to check with cabinet first, but otherwise it is pretty close to signing.
Okay.
And it will look very, very similar to the one which is already signed. So if you want to, the one about the N95s, if you want to look at that, it will follow in a lot of ways this layout.
Okay. I just want to report back to my division. So for those who wanted the support, and I thought you mentioned that faculty members could reach out to someone for.
Reach out immediately, I would say, to your department chair and dean so that the dean moves this to the administration. And I think you should start reaching out if there is a concern. I mean, time is of essence. Friday is in 2 days, and that is the 16th. Reach out immediately. I would do the outreach immediately because I mean, the signature is not far away.
Right.
That is one of the reasons why we said, okay, we go with what we can get at this time because faculty need to have something in their hand, even if it's not exactly what we want, but that is negotiations. Thanks for asking, Jess.
Thank you for working on that.
Okay, we're gonna go to Tara and then we need to, then we'll have a.
I
super
just
quick-
want to ask about, I think it's okay, but you know,
No.
I just wonder if we, Kathy mentioned, I think Jeff mentioned it, we could take an action today. This is a discussion possible action item. I'm very concerned about faculty colleagues. I understand student rights. I realize the MOU, but we're another faculty body. You know, so I would move to action to vote that we want to support our faculty who feel unsafe. To be able to require that of their students. Now this is not there. So I would make a motion to that. If anybody wanted to second it.
Anyone?
Can you restate that motion? I couldn't quite hear everything.
Yeah, I wasn't very articulate at all. This is listed as discussion and possible action, which is something steering talked about. If there's something really time sensitive. This is really time sensitive. As of Friday, there will be faculty who, some of whom came back to campus, you know, thinking they could mask, who have health conditions. And so, I guess we have the option to move into action. So we could propose a motion to just express our support for our faculty colleagues.
Okay, so we have a few things going on here. We have a motion, which I have not yet heard seconded. Well, we have to move it to action.
So it's possible, actually, we have to,
Yeah,
so
okay,
the question, if we want to do it,
yeah, do we want to do it?
then we would make the, then we.
Then we would move it to action.
Well, we don't know until we move into action, and somebody makes a motion. We don't know that.
Yeah, no, I mean, do we want to move it to
I
action?
think that's what Ken's trying to get.
That's what I'm not, and I'm supposed to be the parliamentarian, so I'm trying to say, hey, this could be an action item. I can just do it now, but I wanted to sort of.
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion to move this item to action.
That's it. Thank you, Kathy.
okay. All right, and then, Kim, did you have a phrasing for that?
It's just that simple. We just up or down vote if we're willing to move it to action. There's no, you don't really have a
No
discussion.
debate.
Yeah, people, if they don't
Right.
vote for it, then it's done.
It's not debatable.
Okay, so up or down? Any,
Well, you have to say,
Okay, all in favor of moving. it
all
to
in
action.
favor
say
of
aye.
moving this to action, say aye.
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 I
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Okay, for Margarita, we do hands or thumbs or something, yeah.
So,
You gotta try to do the count.
we could do, yeah, we could, I'm gonna go to the agenda.
Hands for,
Roll call for.
yeah, that's what we did at the retreat.
Hanson room, so roll call for the people on Zoom, so Ben,
Aye.
Chris Johnson,
Hi.
Jen,
Aye.
Jess,
yes.
Ruth,
Yes, but I do think you should, every time you do roll call, you should do it for every senator, because then other people can hide behind not actually explicitly stating their votes.
okay, that was just coming from what we learned at the Senate retreat, but okay. I'm just gonna finish the people who are on Zoom. Anna
Yes.
and Trisha,
Yes.
okay, all right, and the people.
And you forgot about me, Melanie.
And
Hi.
me too,
and
you missed me.
Devonna. Oh, I'm so sorry, okay. So Juan
Aye.
and Devonna, Dee Dee,
Yes.
sorry about that, you two.
And you missed me as well. This is Ellen. I vote yes, and I also concur with what Ruth said.
Okey-dokes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm about to do.
So say your name and your vote.
Yeah.
Joy, yes, Joy.
Kathy, yes.
Brittany, yes.
Elizabeth, yes. Sarah, yes.
Kim, yes.
Okay, so that carries, and so now we can, now it's been moved to action, and so now we can phrase, we can discuss and phrase the motion, right? Okay.
I'm bad at these, but I did ask to move it to action, but please revise, even though I get it, it's hard to compose in a moment, but I think just to say that the academic senate supports faculty to have the right to require their students to wear masks in the classroom, in their class.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, did that receive a second from the room?
Yeah, second,
Yes.
Kathy. Okay.
Thank you.
We can debate that now. Or we debate, right, I know, that's what I'm saying. Okay. Ellen?
Yeah, I would support, something that says we support faculty in requesting, that students wear masks, just so we're affirming our colleagues' needs. I would not support saying that we require it, because this is a working condition issue. It's not our purview. Our purview is 10+1. Working conditions are the FA's purview, and we've just heard from our FA president that this has been negotiated, and we were not able to get agreement from the college for it being a requirement. So I don't see the usefulness of our saying, supporting faculty in requiring their students to do masks, when that's literally not what has been negotiated by the people who actually have purview over this.
Okay, good point. So Kim, can we make that a friendly amendment where we change require to request?
We're already doing requests.
I know, well,
If, I think if we were to make that change, Ellen would have to propose that amendment to it, and we have to vote on that.
go for it. And
Fine, I propose that we amend it to say request instead of required.
So we need a second for that, and then we discuss that.
we still, I think it's important to say that we do have that right now to request.
Right, that's her point.
Already in the MOU.
But then, but the MOU, go for it.
So
I just want to get a clarification from Cornelia about this situation. Can we make a motion and ask for this to be a faculty requirement? And does that go against what you're trying to do, or, you know, how does that fit in with the faculty association's MOU negotiation?
I believe the Academic Senate is a very independent faculty body. I believe the Academic Senate could very well state an opinion, what you feel should be happening, that is independent from negotiations. And yeah, this is as you know, the FA was initially going forward with a request to require masking as a the ability of individual instructors for good reasons to require masking in their classrooms as well. So I do not see that there is anything hindering you from making such a motion, such a statement of kind of like, that is your opinion, what should happen. If that is then happening in the FA negotiations, that is a different, this is true, it's different, because for everything you need the administration to agree upon, and it is a working condition. I also feel that the Academic Senate could at least voice an opinion on that. But that's totally up to you.
So I'm looking at the clock. We have other things to talk about. I don't want to rush through this. Tara has had her hand up way back before we moved even into this. What would you
I was just gonna add from the social sciences, we teach 100+ student classes. We can't move to a larger classroom, we can't do any of it. They don't give us more bodies in the room. Like Ellen mentioned in the library, I have the same problem right now in PS 101. I have some students wearing masks, others not. I'm tired of being the mask police. I would say, my one concern is if my class does a Google form and they say, we want to wear masks, what do I do when I've got the 2 or 3 who refuse to do it and there's no support?
Yeah.
So I would really strongly encourage that we continue to have this dialogue with the administration and not give up on it. It will be an ongoing problem every time we're going to have a holiday, which there are many of. Students are going to travel, they're going to come back. It's, this constant fluctuating between tier 1 and tier 2. It's confusing for students to know when they need to wear a mask, when they don't need to wear a mask. We have a lot of concerns about this.
Yeah, that's why I think at the very least we need to explain some of those basic things. So what we've got here is a fundamental question, right? Do we say require or do we say request?
This is where I did reread Robert Rules of Order. I'm trying to do this. I'm not good, so tell me if it's not right, but Ellen proposed an amendment. She would need a second, and then we would vote on that. And then if it passes, then we vote on that motion. Or we go back to the original motion, and that does save time. So I think we've talked a lot about the issue. Ellen made a great point about purview. So I think now we did a second on that request to change the word from require to whatever, to request. And if it's not seconded, we're just back to the original motion. And I think we've talked a lot, so someone can, we'll see if anybody wants to speak against or for that motion. So does anybody want a second changing the original motion from require to request?
And we have a hand from Ellen.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if this is helpful at this point, but I thought it might be helpful if we consider who this statement is directed at. If we are directing it at the administration in support of our FA that is trying to negotiate for faculty allowing to require masks, then we could make that clear and say we are supporting, that effort to allow faculty to require them. If we are aiming it at other faculty, and then I think it could be confusing to say we support it being a requirement when that's literally not allowed under what gets negotiated, so hopefully that doesn't just complicate things more, but it might help us to consider the overall purpose. What are we trying to do here and who are we speaking to?
I think that we need to make a strong statement in support of what we believe. The FA has been sort of lone ranger in this fight for us. And they are doing the best they can. It's going to help support them if the faculty senate comes through and has a strong position about this. So I don't think it's a working condition that we should shy away from. I think if we believe this is true and that we would like to be able to require masks, it doesn't mean everybody is, but certainly my faculty member who has cancer, I think it's only fair that she has that right to do that with her students. So I would like to support the original motion.
Did anybody?
I did.
write it down, Margaret?
Yeah,
What is
the
it?
motion that the Senate supports the right of faculty to require students to wear masks in the class.
So I think class is in there with their students, right?
What about counselors?
Right, exactly. So classes,
So
that's you're right, that's not fair. And then, of course, once it gets to the library, we already know it's not happening in some places, but yeah, so I did have it as class, I guess. I mean, I told you I didn't want to be the final word on it. So faculty in their classrooms is how it is. So
So are you?
so somebody would have to, we would have to amend that, I think. Anybody have a better wording for that? Yeah, Tricia?
But I also say that the word individual faculty is also important, because otherwise I agree with
Yeah.
Ellen, it could be confusing. That is all faculty. And then Cornelia kind of, mentioned about given specific reasons too. I mean, I don't know, maybe if that's good or bad, that the faculty have to justify that it's because of a specific health concern or because the airflow is not bad. I don't know if that's something that makes it sound like they have to justify it, or is it just that their choice? So I don't, but individual for sure. I'm not so sure about given specific circumstances should be in there.
I need a point of clarification from Cornelia. Do you think, I understood what you just said was that the district would not accept the word require. Is that correct?
At this point, yes,
Right.
that's true. So the consensus at this time in the negotiation team is request, yeah.
Right. So we have a choice here, right? We can go further than the FA.
That is definitely correct. I mean, maybe a vote from the academic senate would create a change of heart in the administration. I don't know.
But what are the consequences? So like, again, are we gonna kick someone out of class? I mean, that's, I think, the
That is, I mean, this is the sticking point, and I think this is a really difficult question. How do you enforce a requirement if you have a requirement and you can't enforce it? That is difficult too, right? I mean, this is,
Okay.
there's no part is easy in this discussion. And I also think the administration, is they are signaling support for faculty, but they did not agree to the word requirement.
Hey, Jen.
I guess the question I have is just how long would this be in place? Would we say that we request that any faculty require their students to wear masks anytime in the future? That's one question that just comes up for me. I understand this condition of people coming back to work in person this fall and maybe not feeling 100% comfortable with the changing situation and wanting to require it this semester. But then what about next semester? At what point do we say, okay, we're coming back to work, knowing that when we drop to this lower tier, if we drop to this tier, masks will not be required in our classes, and being okay with that? And yeah, just a question to throw out there.
So I am comfortable with, I've read the book a lot of times. Friendly amendments would be in their classrooms through the end of fall semester. I think that really reflects what Jen was saying. We came here assuming these things. Now that faculty member who has a health risk won't come teach in the spring because this isn't going to change.
That's right.
We're going to be living with this virus now, it seems like to me. So I guess somebody correct me, do we have to do more work, or can I just do those friendly amendments of in their classrooms through the end of fall semester?
We still haven't discussed, or I still need I don't know, do we really want require or request? No, nobody seconded the request.
No, we're just on the
We're on
require.
require.
Yeah, we're back to the require, and we're and I think the limitations, the reason I said classrooms, I already, the bigger space. That's already happening. People in ed support can go outside. I mean, I don't know. So to me, the friendly amendment that's left would be the classrooms, and I don't know if we need to vote on end of fall semester. I feel like I was comfortable with that. I made them, so maybe we have to vote on that. Nothing's been voted on yet. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Can we add in addition to the classroom, their office or department? Sometimes it's not that easy to go outside with the Wi-Fi. So we can set from a academic perspective, the use of the internet.
Yeah, I mean, I think the goal is we're trying to make a motion to express our concern for faculty working with students. Students can, so It would be in their offices or classrooms or in their,
Or departments, the faculty are in the, like the career center, their department, they might not necessarily have an office that they can go to, but they're out in the lobby talking with students and.
so it's in their workspaces. That's right, which is very working conditions,
Classroom, rooms or workspaces.
indoor spaces. Yeah, in their indoor, right, in their indoor classroom or workspaces.
I would put indoor spaces because you could be in the lobby and it's not somebody's office or classroom. And it's still inside, so it covers like any building, whether it's educational support or the classrooms.
Perfect. Angels have to be able to require masks when working in indoor spaces through the end of fall semester.
Okay, so parliamentarian.
Yeah. I'm never gonna be that good at this, but okay. So the motion, the academic support, Senate supports individual faculty members to be able to require their students to wear masks in indoor spaces through the end of fall semester.
Okay. Now we need to see if anybody wants to move that forward.
It's, okay, so I think I've already seconded one, but now it's his amendment. Perfect. Okay, so now it's just on the table, I think. You?
All right, are we ready to vote?
Marguerite, you want to read it back one more time? Would you transcribe?
I've got it.
Okay, read it one more time.
The Senate supports the right of individual faculty to require students to wear masks in their in indoor spaces through the end of fall semester 2022.
All right.
All right,
Ben,
all right, so I'm gonna do a roll call vote.
but Ben, just Ben speak to the motion.
I can't see.
He has. his
Oh,
hand
Ben,
up
I'm
for
sorry, I
left.
didn't see you there.
Oh,
Sorry,
no,
Ben.
it's okay. I was just thinking that we can vote on this, but as I sit here and listen to everything, everyone feels differently about masks and the level of safety, including our students. And I know it's in 2 days, but I just feel like we should have a simple message that we're all united behind to tell our students. That includes this vote right here. So we continue to attempt to provide a safe environment for the students, that they feel safe in their classrooms. So, because right now in my class, I hear students saying, this teacher told me this teacher told me that, and it creates a lot of confusion. And the students that feel unsafe, they will continue to feel unsafe and won't speak out because most students want to take their mask down. So if we're able to create some sort of unified message that we all agree to say in our classrooms, saying, respect one another, respect your instructor, just in case they have a health condition, then we could state whatever we're to vote on. But we need to create some sort of unified messaging to our students, is what I'm saying. So, yeah.
So what's beautiful about that, and I know this is messy, but I feel like what I just heard Ben say is it's about the safety of the people you're close with. So that's not just faculty, it's also students. So the Senate supports each member of the SBC community, faculty, staff, students, if they feel unsafe, unmasked, and they are required to be near people, we support their right to ask the people to wear masks. And is that kind of what you're reaching for, Ben? Kind of like that bigger message?
I am. For example, I like to do group work in my class, and I'm still, even if the masks go down, I'm still going to ask my students to bring a mask. So when we do group work, we're going to put on the mask. And I'm not waiting on this vote to do that or to ask people to do that. I'm still gonna do that to make sure that those who cannot speak or don't feel comfortable speaking up about their concern for their safety still feel safe in my class when doing group work. So.
So I think you could write a better motion. Are you up for it, Ben? Oh, I know.
Question.
I know.
It's not so much emotion, but I was just conveying or expressing that we should all be on the same page about respecting one another and people's safety. That's all. Just expressing that to the class, so there's no animosity about actions being put into place or someone feeling they're being disrespected or neglected.
Right. The question was called in order, we have to vote on the calling of the question. No, you don't. Yes, you do. You actually do. You can't just call the question and move immediately to the vote.
So we could do that with a show of hands. If you hands on the screen, it looks like a clear majority. You are allowed to do that.
Okay,
You guys, so everybody do the show of hands on the screen or in the room.
so what we're voting on right now is if we call the question, which means we move immediately to a vote. So we're voting about moving to a vote.
On that motion, yeah, we're
That
done
motion.
talking about language, yep.
But I don't see the language anywhere. Is the language, am I just not looking in the right place?
No, it's still being,
It's only been stated, it hasn't been written, that's the problem. It's hard to vote on something that's oral, yeah. Okay, so read it one more time. Oh, but let's call the question and then read it. Or do you want to- okay. So the vote to call the question can be a show of hands if we all do it. So you guys, you put your screen, right, you can just say it's a clear majority. This is just to call the question to vote. So the Zoom people, just put your hands up. And you can, the room, we can see the Zoom. It's a majority to call the question. Yeah.
all right, so did you see a majority there?
Between the room and all the hands of the voting people that got. I thought so, but we can also do a roll call. I don't know.
I'm gonna do a roll call vote, and okay. Tara? Yes. Tara, yes. Kim?
Yeah.
Ben?
Yes.
Sabrina? Ellen?
I'm going to abstain, and I want it noted that I am abstaining because I don't think there's a way for this to be enforced, particularly in ESD. So it's not that I don't support our faculty in doing what they need to be safe, but I think it's not possible.
Okay. Joy?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Kathy?
Yes.
Juan?
Yes.
Jess?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Ruth?
Yes.
Tara? It's again, Brittany. Yeah, there are two places. You get two yeses. Anna?
I'm abstaining.
Okay, and Trisha?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll vote yes on calling the question also. I didn't hear my name.
Thought I said you. All right, so yes, now the question has been called, so we move immediately to a vote. And let me read it again for you. The Senate supports the right of individual faculty to require students to wear masks. So to require students to wear masks in indoor spaces through the end of fall semester 2022.
Yep, that's it.
Okay,
Well, wait, shouldn't we clarify that it should be their students? Because I can't just say, hey, any student in the hallway.
No, we can't do that with students.
well, right now.
Right, but
Oh, well, okay,
The way
we
it
did
was
not
stated.
their
Okay.
students originally.
Okay. All right, so we are now voting on this. Ben,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Sabrina, Ellen,
Same thing I said before, abstaining with and noting what I noted before.
Chris,
Aye.
Joy,
Yes.
Dee Dee.
Yeah.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Kathy. Yes. Juan,
Yes.
Jess,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Tara,
Yes.
Brittany,
Yes.
Anna,
Abstaining.
Tricia.
Yes.
So the motion carries. All right. Thank you. We have 6 minutes left, and this actually will be fairly easy. We have clarification of faculty position, and I am aware, though some may not know it, of the 119-22 Senate motion to erase the difference between new or replacement position. I do want you to know that part of the reason it's here is because we may have erased that, but budgeting hasn't erased that, and HR has also not erased that. So I just want you to be aware that even if the Senate has erased that, the way this looks on spreadsheets makes a difference, right? And why that is because a position, the budget is filled, and the position continues for that year. And that's why replacement makes a difference. So we don't have to go back and look at what we did before. I just want you to know that you will be seeing things that will use the words new or replacement, because that's what's coming from HR. And that's what's in the budget.
Yeah, just so replacement then remains in the budget for years.
Replacement only, I mean, yes, and I'm trying to,
No, this 1 year.
so it can be replaced for only 1 year, but they also know how many, as departments, this is Juan's point, as departments have been shrinking, they know what was there. They keep an eye on them. Okay, all right. So, moving on from that, retreat follow-up. Are we good? I asked the question. Sure.
Just because one Senate decides something, it seems like over all the years, every Senate has had a little different discussion about how they want to approach this. And I mean, I'm not sure why we ever decided that we didn't want to have positions designated as replacement or new. We used to have a situation where after so many years, you couldn't call it a replacement anymore. And that was the discussion we would usually have, as well as 1 year, 2 years. Because all of us have had things happen over the last 3 or 4 years. So I don't understand why we would want to know if a position is an immediate replacement or 2-year replacement or what? What's the problem with that?
Well, that's in the first question.
Yeah, we're
the
gonna
presentation.
know.
Yeah.
Yes,
like
we
yearly
will know the
Right.
questions,
Right.
the
Right.
questions include that information. That's what I wanted people to know.
So the fact that they're designated that way doesn't mean we have to take it into account in voting. It's just so you know, it's budgeted, the institution sees it differently. That's all.
That's right, and HR sees it differently. Juan, then Ellen, and then Jen, and we are gonna finish in 3 minutes.
I think Jan was first, though.
Yeah.
Jen is first.
Yes.
Thank you, Juan.
I guess I don't really understand what this means, so I guess we'll discuss it more when we get to the time where we're classifying the positions as replacement or new. You did say at the beginning of the meeting that positions that were not filled are automatically going to be going up for hiring this year, correct?
Yes, and that means that they don't take away from this year's request because they are already in the budget. So in 2021-22, the school budgeted for 10 full-time faculty positions. Only 6 of those were filled, but those 4 are in the budget already. So anything we ask for this year is in addition to those total of 10 that were put in the budget for 2022-23.
Okay.
So the only reason that they're not, all those faculty are not here is because the searches were unsuccessful.
So those department chairs do not need to
They
Make a
don't
presentation
It,
for us.
it doesn't do anything, and it's this sort of, it's this great thing. It means that we've got those positions that were supposed to be filled this year can be 21, 22 can be filled in 23, 24. Without affecting the request for 23, 24. Does that make sense, Jen? All right, Juan.
Yeah, thank you for sending, those two deadlines or not deadlines, but well, one is a deadline. October 5th, hiring presentations by department chairs and October 12th, ranking presentations. Do we have something more specific, like a timeline? You should receive the information by this time. You will, send your proposal at this time. Do we have a timeline? And if we do, when will we receive it as senators so we can forward it to our department?
So
My second question is, can senators present for their department? I know it says chairs, but our department chair is a language, different language. She does French and Italian, and I feel that either my colleague Paco or I know the needs better of the Spanish program, and basically that is my question. Can senators present for their department?
Okay, I believe yes. And in terms of the previous question, those should already have gone through. There was a request coming from, do you mean the original request for replacement or new positions that came out from HR? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I think a timeline for the department chairs. I'm not sure if they received something, because I know the ESL chair asked me if there was a timeline. And I said, I don't. The only dates that I received from our Senate's president were the ones that I previously mentioned.
No, it's in the email from Holly. You click on the timeline, it's due Tuesday at 4 o'clock, next Tuesday, the 20th, to this folder in the VP's office.
I'm sorry, the email came from who?
Holly Higgins.
Maria's assistant, Holly
Okay,
Higgins, when
gotcha.
we
From Holly.
requested the date, there's a link in there to the timeline.
Okay.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
All right, Ellen, 1 minute over, go for it.
Yeah, two quick things. One, I was just checking my notes from last January 19th when the Senate voted on the new versus replacement designation. And so I wanted to make it really clear that we weren't saying that departments could not identify what they were asking for in the request in one way or the other. It was just like eliminating that designation, and part of the context of it, eliminating that designation like from our lists. And part of the context of that was a larger discussion around the problem of attrition of faculty shaping our departments rather than student need, and how we need to be doing strategic planning around the need for faculty in one department relative to another. And if we're focused on all people who leave must be replaced, or that's somehow more important than maybe a new position in an area that may really need new faculty, like that shouldn't be weighing our decision making. So I think that was part of the context of that vote last January.
If I may say something about that, that is the whole point, that our department is showing the need based on students' needs, and they're not being replaced. Our numbers show that. They've been showing that for the last 5 years, and we still don't get a replacement. In fact, we lost three full-time faculty.
Yeah, and that's part of what the CERC was designed to do. So,
Screw us up.
So I get that, and this is why the next 3 Senate meetings are so crucial and so important. So I really appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, and is there like your move to adjourn? Anyone?
Wait, Melanie, I have one question.
Oh,
Sorry.
Jess, sorry.
I didn't actually hear you say, maybe I just misunderstood, but when Jen asked if the biology chair has to make another presentation this year.
No, No,
We do
No.
not. Okay,
it's
cool.
done. It's done. It automatically is being moved forward to the HR hiring position.
Unless they're asking.
Okay,
Want another position?
Just our other replacement that we need. That's the only one we'll do.
Right, but the one that was approved the last year is, you just do not worry. It's moving through the plan. So thank you for making me clarify that. And Jan, apology if I was not clear. Separate budgets. Yeah, okay, right, 2 separate budgets, as Tara's saying. Okay. All right, move to adjourn. Move to adjourn. Seconded. All right. Thank you, everyone. We will see you on, oh, yes, okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
thanks.